Lamborghini was founded in the sunny heart of Italy. Its founder, Ferruccio Lamborghini, was captivated by the British Army during World War II. He survived and he managed to live the best life he could. An insult by Enzo Ferrari caused him to establish an automotive company with the vision of a raging bull in mind. So Lamborghini grew into one of the most creditable names in the industry. Ferruccio Lamborghini was born on 28th of April 1916 in northern Italy. His parents were viticulturists, so Ferruccio's childhood was spent in vivacious Italian vineyards. More than the farming lifestyle itself, farming machinery piqued Ferruccio's interest. Following his interest in mechanics as a young man, Lamborghini studied at a technical school near Bologna. When the Second World War commenced, he was drafted into the Italian Royal Air Force. He was recruited as a mechanic and he served as the supervisor of the vehicle maintenance unit in a garrison on the island of Rhodes. Lamborghini was taken as a prisoner when the island fell to the British at the end of the war in 1945. He was not able to return home until the next year. Soon after he arrived home, he married Celia Monti, who died while giving birth to their son, Little Tonino, in 1947. After the Second World War, Lamborghini opened a garage in Pieve del Cento. There, he purchased the homely old Fiat Topolino, a popular classic Italian city car, and used his mechanical abilities to transform it into a roaring 750cc open-top two-seater. In 1948, he entered the car in a motorsport race in Turin. His participation ended after 1,100 kilometers when he ran the car into the side of a restaurant. Around 1947, in post-war Italy, there emerged a market devoted to agricultural and industrial revitalization. This opportunity sparked Lamborghini's enthusiasm and rekindled his love of farming machinery. He built the first of his Carioca tractors using parts from reconfigured surplus military machines. They were based on the six-cylinder petrol engines of the British Morris trucks. However, petrol was prohibitively priced in Italy at the time, so Lamborghini augmented the Morris engines with a fuel atomizer of his creation, which allowed the tractors to start with petrol and switch to the cheaper diesel fuel. Upon the initial success of the Carioca, Lamborghini founded Lamborghini Trattori and began manufacturing tractors in the early 1950s. Business was good, and he soon grew to become a wealthy man. He collected faster, more expensive cars than the Fiats he used to own. Mercedes-Benz 300SL, Jaguar E-Type, and Maserati 3500 GT were among the many models in his collection. In 1958, he traveled to Maranello to buy a Ferrari 250 GT. Ferruccio liked Ferrari's cars. However, he thought they were too rough and noisy to be proper road cars. Ferruccio also believed their interiors needed an upgrade. Later, he found out Ferrari cars were equipped with inferior clutches. So once, Lamborghini brought his misgivings to Enzo Ferrari's attention, but since he was a very proud man, he dismissed Lamborghini. "Let me make cars, you stick to making tractors," said Ferrari. Lamborghini was both outraged and motivated by this encounter. Believing that no one could build a perfect touring car for him, Lamborghini rolled up his sleeves and modified one of his personally owned Ferrari 250 GTs to outperform stock models. Subsequently, he gained the desire to pursue an automobile manufacturing venture of his own. Ferruccio knew Ferrari's manufacturers lacked the attributes of a proper Grand Tourer. He also knew that he could make triple the profit of Ferrari if the components used in his tractors were installed in a high-performance exotic car instead. So Ferruccio officially established Automobili Lamborghini in 1963 in Sant'Agata Bolognese, Italy. At the time, Enzo Ferrari had some unresolved issues within his company that turned out to benefit Lamborghini. In 1961, 5 gentlemen who worked for Ferrari were unhappy with Enzo's wife's involvement in important decision-makings on the factory floor. Some of the decisions made messed with the production process. Among these men were Carlo Citti, who was the chief engineer, and legendary development manager Giotto Bizzarini. Enzo Ferrari was furious. Instead of promising to work it out, he fired all of them on the spot. These 5 men immediately started a competing business in Bologna, a design agency for racing and sports cars called ATS. Since Ferruccio still had an unresolved beef with Enzo Ferrari, in 1963 he approached these 5 former key figures of Enzo's company, and they agreed to work for him. In the same year, Lamborghini introduced its first car, the Lamborghini 350 GTV, a 2-seater coupe with a V12 engine. Lamborghini's first car, the 350 GT, was quite well received. Over the next 2 years, 120 of them were manufactured and sold. Just in time for a car show in Turin in 1965, Lamborghini displayed a car that would completely transform the world of supercars. Inspired by F1, the engineers had put the engine behind the driver. It became the first production car with the engine in the center of the car. It was called the Lamborghini Miura and immediately became a success. You probably wonder why the name Miura. The world of bullfighting was a crucial part of Lamborghini's identity. In 1962, Ferruccio Lamborghini visited the Seville ranch of Don Eduardo Miura, a renowned breeder of Spanish fighting bulls. Ferruccio Lamborghini, whose zodiac sign was Taurus, the bull, was so impressed by the majestic Miura animals that he decided to adopt a raging bull as the logo for the auto company he was about to found. Later in 1965, once again Lamborghini took inspiration from Don Eduardo Miura's bulls and named his car after his family and their line of bulls. It was indeed a proud, joyous moment for Don Eduardo. However, things sometimes go differently than one wants. The 1970s turned out to be challenging years for Lamborghini. Before we continue, please feel free to support us with your likes and shares if you have enjoyed the video so far. Miura was put into production in 1967. A total of 764 cars were built until production ended in 1973. Jarama and the Rocco were 2 other models built around the same time. But during the 1970s, Ferruccio's companies began to face financial difficulties. In 1971, Lamborghini Trattori, which exported around half of its production of tractors, ran into trouble when its South African and Bolivian importers cancelled all their orders. In 1972, Lamborghini had to sell his entire holding in the company to rival tractor builder SAME. Soon development at the Automobili Lamborghini slowed down as they cut costs down. Consequently, Ferruccio began searching for potential buyers for his automotive company. He finally sold 51% of his company to a friend who was a wealthy Swiss businessman. In 1973, the oil crisis made the situation even worse. A spiral of economic disaster put the world in trouble. The supercar market shrank by 80% in just a year. Although work on the legendary Lamborghini Countach model had begun, Ferruccio had become disenchanted with his car business. He severed all connections with cars that bore his name, selling his remaining 49% stake in the automotive company. Ferruccio Lamborghini completely stopped building cars and tractors. Instead, he retired to his mansion on Lake Trasimeno in Perugia and started a small wine business as his parents did. Later, he built a hotel, a restaurant, and a golf course there as well. The place was called Tenuta Lamborghini and is open to public today. Eventually, Ferruccio Lamborghini died of a heart attack in 1993. After Ferruccio's retirement, the factory's new owners continued the design and manufacturing of the Lamborghini Countach. The car's innovative design was astonishing. Its doors opened upwards. It looked like a spaceship and came to define the brand forever. While the company's ownership changed several times over the years, in 1998 the Volkswagen Group became the new owner of Lamborghini through its subsidiary Audi. To this day, Lamborghini has continued to amaze supercar lovers. Don't miss our video on Ford.